Great. So, Peter, let me start with, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself and the top priorities that are driving your efforts here at Concord?
Yeah, sure. I'm the CFO here. I've been with Concord for 4 years now, and you know, the economy has hit us pretty tough in the last couple of years. So right now, one of my big initiatives is really trying to make the organization more efficient and reduce our costs in travel, and in particular in car service. The timing is good because I've just started going through some invoices, and I did notice that our existing provider, there's a lot of wait time. It seems excessive to me.
So, how did you notice the wait time? What struck you?
Well, we do have individual invoices that we get from our existing provider, and on there's wait time that I see. I can't see it cumulatively, but I see it on going through invoices. I see it, and to me it seems pretty high.
Okay. So, due to the tough economy, you're trying to find efficiencies, and within those efficiencies, reduce cost, or are they mutually exclusive?
Both.
So tell me.
Better process, and through actually, less dollars spent on service with the same amount of service. We're a high-touch organization.
Yeah.
I've got people out doing deals that make a lot of money. The time is money for them, so I can't lack on the service, but I think there's areas where I can save some money, and I've done it with other categories.
Yeah. So how did you do it with other categories?
Just for example, instead of staying in 5 different hotels, we narrowed it down to 2 or 3 hotels to consolidate our spend. All 5-star hotels, but
yeah.
We narrowed it down a little bit to be able to leverage our spend better.
And what specifically did that do to help you?
Helped me drive my costs down by 15%.
Okay, so 15% less in hotels through consolidation. And where did that 15% savings come from? Was it better rates? Was it
better rates? Basically better rates, because I was able to drive more volume to fewer providers.
Yeah. Was there anything else other than rates that helped drive that? You mentioned efficiencies. Did you find things like, I know they don't have wait time hotels, but there's usually a lot of additional fees.
Exactly. Things like, free internet. Some of them have, free breakfast included with the rate. Things like that would help us reduce our costs.
So that was part of the 15% beyond just the pure quote rate itself.
Yeah.
And so then you looked at a few bills on car service and noticed that you started to see some heavy wait times and such. How much specifically do you spend on car service a year? Do you know?
I do know. We spent about $600,000.
About $600,000.
That's down a little bit from last year. It was up. It was probably $700 in 2007.
Yeah. And from a priority standpoint, where do you put cost savings and managing the spend in your priorities for?
Probably 2 and 3.
2 and 3. Okay. What's your, just out of curiosity, top priority?
Is service. We
Service.
do a lot of road shows. Like I said, I've got a lot of guys on the road doing deals, making a lot of money for the company. They have to be happy. They have to be efficient. They have to be picked up on time.
Yeah.
I got to make sure the service is not lacking at all.
Yeah.
They need top service.
Okay, so service number 1, cost savings and management is number 2. Where would risk come into the priority scale?
It should be higher. We've just basically assumed it's been taken care of with our existing provider.
Yeah.
So I really haven't looked that much into it, but it should be higher on the list.
Higher,
just assuming. Well, it should be up there with 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And we assumed a lot that the providers we're using, that's been taken care of. But I think that's a big assumption on our part.
Okay. So if I called risk number 3 close to number 2, would be a fair way.
Yep.
Okay. And when you look at the car service spend, how do you reconcile that spend internally do you reconcile it back to internal GL codes? Does any of that go to clients?
I do. We have project numbers that we use, and we reconcile back to those. We also, on our deals, we also actually charge that back to our clients sometimes.
Yeah. So any idea of the percentage of what's reconciled internally?
Yeah, it's probably 90-10. 90 that it's all paid for internally, and 10% of that we actually bill to our clients.
Okay. And how does that process work today to reconcile it? You get a bill and
get an invoice from the provider. They're all done by individual, so actually the person who's actually doing the travel.
Yeah.
And then we have to tie that back to that person's project code, and/or if it goes to on a deal side, if it goes to a client, we got to kind of manually reconcile that.
Yeah, and so when you say manually, do you have an idea of, is that people within your department?
I've got people in my department have to do that.
Yeah, is that a lot of work for them?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's got to be a couple hours a month at least to do that. We get a lot of invoices that we have to tie back to a particular project code.
Yeah.
That's done manually based on a person going through it saying, "Oh, I know John Smith. He's with this
Yeah.
this code,
Yeah.
or this deal is for this client. It's got to be tied back."
Okay. And then from a usage standpoint, the $600,000, is that all in the U.S.? Does that include international?
It's mostly U.S.
It's mostly U.S.
And it's a bulk of it's Boston, New York, Chicago. It's the big main cities.
So, you're headquartered here in Boston, you travel to New York a lot. Are there offices out in New York and Chicago
Yep.
as well?
Yep.
Any other cities that you know are significant travel
We
patterns?
got some in Toronto,
Toronto? Anything else that comes to mind?
DC, but most of it's in Chicago, New York, Boston.
So,
And we have another operation because we're owned by Canadians that are in Toronto.
okay. And then, just one final question is, how do they book today? Who books for the traveler, and do you know how they typically book?
Yeah, we have a couple of admins that do all the booking.
Okay.
With one in particular who does most of this is roadshow business, so
Yeah.
we have one person that does most of the roadshows.
Yeah,
It's all done by the phone
okay,
or email. I think she likes to email to our provider now.
okay.
Not a web portal or anything like that. It's all done either on the phone or through email.
Or email, great.
There's a lot of ASAP stuff, a lot of last minute work that's important to us.
Good. So let me just take a gut check here and summarize some of the key things I heard, make sure I have the story right. So, because of the tough economy, you're looking for ways to become more efficient and reduce costs. And recently you looked at car service and noticed that there might be some opportunity, due to some high wait time that you saw there. And you want to get the best value you want to make sure you're getting the best value for what you're currently paying for car service. And you also mentioned that it's a high-touch business, and you've got a lot of senior executives using the car. So the number one priority is service levels within using car service.
Yep.
And then number two is cost savings and cost management. You recently did a program for a hotel where you consolidated from 5 down to 2 or 3 vendors and saved 15%, and through better rates and not just the rate itself, but some of the ancillary charges.
Yep.
And risk management is an important priority. Just hasn't been given a lot of attention because it's been assumed.
To be honest with you, never even thought about it until you actually brought it up.
Sure.
But now that I think about it, we should definitely make sure the providers who we use have the right insurance and look into that, make sure we're covered.
Yeah. And then another couple of things I heard. So those are your top three:
Yeah.
service, cost, and risk. Some other things I heard is that there is some decent amount of time being spent reconciling bills to either to a GL code internally or to a client code externally, and all your bookings are done primarily through, or most of your bookings are primarily done through a couple of admins that book via
Yep.
call and
Yep.
email. Is that a pretty good
Yeah.
summary?
Nailed it. Yep.
Anything else you'd like to tell me about your car service spend or strategy?
No,
Okay.
that's it.
Great. Well, let's do this. Well, let me tell you a few things about what Boston Coach is doing
Okay.
and how we're addressing some of these needs.
Perfect.